going on, everyone? This is Jabari K Smith, and you're experiencing The Professional Athlete. Today's episode, we always got special guests. And I know we like to interview ex-professional and collegiate athletes, but this one is still a professional athlete. He just transitioned from one sport to another. So I'd like to welcome everyone, Mr. Chris Staples. Chris, what's good with you, man?
What's going on, man? Thank you for having me.
Man, thanks for being here. So let's talk about this two-sport athlete that's turned his profession into an actual professional lifestyle. But before we get into that, share with everyone a little bit about your background. Who's Chris Staples?
Chris Staples, he's just a hard-working guy, loves sports, I love to hang out, love to travel, and just being myself. I want to be, I'm a guy who thinks outside the box and try to be different, just try to create my own lane, whatever I do.
And that's something you did. So, Chris, where are you from?
I'm from Saginaw, Michigan.
Okay. What was sports like growing up in Michigan, man?
That's what we grew up on. That's my family, man. Like my mother was she ran track and she swam. My dad was All-American baseball. I have a cousin that's plays in the NFL, Lamar Willie. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers and won a Super Bowl ring. And, that's just all we grew up on, man, playing sports all my life. So, I mean, it's something that came, with the territory.
Man, that's just part of your genes, man. That's your makeup. Okay.
Exactly.
What was the first sport that you played?
The first sport I ever played was football.
Football?
I think it was football.
And how early was that?
I was 10 years old, 10 or 9 years. No, I'm probably like 8 years old, actually. Played in the Detroit Pal League. It's called the Pal League. And we played, man. I was good. I felt like I was good my first year. I was fast.
Yeah.
That's why my mom put me on the team, because of my speed, not really because I was a tough guy or anything like that, but I had the athletic ability.
Okay. And when did you fall in love with that sport?
I always love football. I mean, I'm a big football head, know everything about the NFL. So anytime you guys have some NFL questions, I got you. I'll tell you the real. But I loved it, man. I was always just afraid of actually just getting hit, And it was one thing, even all through high school, that I didn't really like, because you see so many injuries in football and the concussion things. And as a receiver, you're very vulnerable when you're out there playing that contact sport. So, I mean, I definitely loved the game. Then they transferred me to quarterback, and so you're getting hit just as much. So, and
a little bit harder because you're just standing there.
That was always something in the back of my mind.
I got a secret to share as well, man. I hated getting hit as well. That's why I transferred over to defense, man, when I got the opportunity.
I love playing safety when they let me do it.
Exactly. In high school, I was a running back and safety, but then when I went to college, man, I'm glad my coach kind of insisted that maybe you want to play on the other side of the ball, because I was like, with this defense, at least I can be the one that's doing the hit instead of getting hit. Exactly. And it worked out perfectly. So yeah, definitely. So walk us through, that whole process. So you played Pop Warner football. It seems like you said you played receiver and quarterback. So let's talk about, high school and college. How was it, transitioning there? Were you highly recruited? What was that like?
Playing at that level, it was one of the top levels in Michigan, as far as young talent. Mm-hmm. And so by the time I got to high school, I was already ahead of some of the guys who hadn't played at that level before. Maybe it was their first time playing football, and some middle schools didn't have football teams. So high school was their first start, and I was more experienced by the time. So, playing in my freshman year of high school, I ended up moving up to varsity, mm-hmm. even though I was very skinny and I wasn't that tall, but they ended up moving me up to varsity halfway through the season, and I got to play in a couple of varsity games. So it was great, and I had the opportunity to get a letterman in my freshman year of high school. And so it transferred over, man. They saw that the coaches saw that I was very experienced and had pretty good talent at the time. So it transferred over very well until I transferred high schools and ended up going back to wide receiver. Mm-hmm. And I did very well. Got recruited by Big Ten schools, Mac 10 schools all over the country.
And what was that experience like, being recruited by Big Ten schools and all these other conferences?
It actually came late, because in the high school that I went to, there were a lot of guys that had the talent to go to college. So mm-hmm. I was like next in line every year. Even when I transferred, I had to prove myself. And then there were guys that were getting highly recruited by other schools. So I just had to wait my turn. So it actually came late. My senior year, I did very well. I was like all North team, had a lot of catches and touchdowns. So it was just great, when college coaches finally started to call me. It was late in the game. I was 17, 18 years old, and now I'm getting these calls, and so I had to make a decision quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what college did you end up choosing?
I ended up I got recruited by a lot of Big Ten, but I ended up choosing Wayne State since it was close to home. They were up and coming school. Stayed there for a year, then transferred to Eastern Michigan, which is the D1 school.
Okay, okay. So you're in high school. The recruits start coming in a little bit later, but now you're probably fully developed as an athlete. As you mentioned before, you were much smaller, so you probably grew into your body, understanding the game a little bit more. How did you? First of all, before I ask this, how was your support system, meaning your family? Because I know you come from a family background of athletes. What type of advice were they giving you during this process?
Well, it was good because I had a cousin that was actually just finishing what I was starting. He by the time I was going to college, he was, highly recruited for the NFL, and so I'm going through some of the stuff that he went through. So getting that advice from him and some of my family members have really helped me out in making the best decision for myself. But like I said, my senior year, I got recruited by some really good schools, so I just know I had to stay focused and stay injury free and actually build. So I would be ready for college.
Absolutely. That makes sense. And how did you perceive yourself in the community during that time?
In the community, I felt like, I continued to do good in school, because I know that was very important, even though, as an athlete, you have to go to college and you really have to be a student athlete, and that's very tough. A lot of people don't understand that. So I know I had to really lock in and stay focused. Yeah.
Did you struggle with focusing in high school and in college?
Oh, my senior year, I was definitely not focusing on school because
I'm guilty. I'm guilty as well.
Senior year, you're like, all right, I got recruited. Now I'm going to school. But if I can go back, honestly, I would have really took that more serious because you never know what that could have led to. But at the same time, I was serious. Actually, when I went to college, I got the best grades I ever got, beat in high school and everything like that. My mom was so surprised, but I had to lock in, and I know that's very important these days.
Definitely is important. And so what encouraged you to make that transfer in college?
Oh, well, when I first went to high school, actually, not high school, when I transferred high school was my sophomore year. I told the coach there, even though the school was very good in football and they had a lot of good guys going to college, I told the coach, I said, hey, I'm going to get a basketball scholarship here. And the football coach said, well, good luck with that. And he said, I guarantee you get a football scholarship. And I was just like, I'm going to prove him wrong. And sure enough, I got a football scholarship. And, but at the same time, just being in college and just, playing with some of the guys, like these are all Americans. These guys are much bigger than I was in high school or high school athletes. So these guys trying to go to the NFL, and I understood that, but it was a struggle, man. Just taking those hits, and me being a smaller guy, the injuries were a lot tougher than when I was in high school, and it was a lot harder to recover, as well as becoming that student athlete. So I just wanted to go back to what I really loved. I love basketball, and I felt like I didn't play basketball my senior year, actually, of high school. And that's when I locked in more on football and ended up getting a scholarship. But, it was just a lot of it was a transition. I wanted to go back. I knew it was late in the game because I transferred colleges and things like that. And so I was a little bit older, 20, 21 years old. It's kind of hard to go back to basketball, especially when you didn't play your senior year.
Right.
And so I knew it was tough, and I made different ways. I started going to Euro basket tryouts and semi-pros, and they were just, it wasn't really working out, but I just wanted to stay the course and see where it led to.
That's interesting you said that, because you mentioned football and, and the size factor, and just looking at you now, what are you, about 6'3", 200?
Yeah, close to it.
That's typical receiver, man.
Yeah, it's a typical receiver, but the injuries, man, I watch these receivers nowadays. Even my cousin, he played 9-10 years in the NFL, but I've watched him get so many injuries.
Yeah.
He's double the size I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, he still has injuries, and he's not even playing right now. Like, I'm still going through this rehab or that rehab, and it's just such a small window.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to go back to playing basketball. I felt like I was very coachable and had a lot of potential at the same time. It was just things that I probably could have done better in high school. And at the same time, it wasn't the high school of a lot of recruits were going to. So, I just wanted to get the opportunity and see if I still had it.
No, that makes sense. So now You're like, all right, listen, I'm leaving basketball alone. I'm leaving football alone. I really want to go and pursue basketball, which was my first love. But now it's frustrating because you literally skipped a step. I mean, you didn't get a chance to do your senior year and those important years in college, your freshman and sophomore year, because that's when you're developing.
Exactly.
And so now you're trying to navigate. It kind of explain to some of the listeners like how tough that was and what were some of the challenges that you were facing during that time.
Oh, I faced a lot of challenges because when I was going to some of these camps, these semi-pro camps, the first thing they asked is, well, where'd you play high school at? You know, I want to say, yeah, I played my junior year of high school, or I didn't play any years in college. They're like, well, how do we know you're good? You know, you have no footage or things like that. So that's one thing you have to deal with the coach with different recruits, because that's what they want to see. They want to see that, and that's where's your footage at? In football, I had all the footage, you know, and I would be good with that. But for basketball, I had to deal with those critics. And even though I know I was coachable, I knew I had potential to compete with any of the guys, you know, without those credentials, it's hard to stand a chance.
Absolutely.
But it's hard to pursue something that you don't really love, you know, or you don't have a true passion for. Now, I did like football and things like that, but I didn't have the true passion for it. I mean, you got to have that true passion to stay in the game of football.
Yeah.
You know, some people do it for the money, but it only lasts for so long. You can tell who has the passion for it and who really wants to do it at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
And so I knew I wasn't happy with the sport, so that's why I went back to basketball, even though I knew the role would be tougher. And I knew I probably had the opportunity to go to the NFL and do big things, but would I really be happy at the end of the day with it?
Right. Like you say, it's following your passion. And, I mean, either sport at the top level is challenging and it's hard to do, and you have to have ultimate focus. So I totally understand where you're coming from. It's like, hey, if I got to choose, then let me choose something to where when it gets hard, it's not going to be that. What can I say? Because hard is hard, but you'll be able to appreciate it because, like, this is something that I love and this is what I'm chasing.
Exactly. At the end of the day, that's exactly how it's supposed to be.
So you're going through all of this, and I guess I can let the cat out the bag now. you had a tough time actually transitioning as a professional for basketball, but you end up carving your own niche with basketball. Walk us through this, man, because this is amazing.
Man, this is a story, man. It's a story. I really couldn't even tell you that this would be happening. You know, somebody told me this 10 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, don't be real, you know. But, I mean, my senior year, I didn't play basketball. I actually was about to go to tryouts. The coach told me I actually missed the first day of tryouts because I did an ACT prep class my mom made me go to, but which was more important because at the
education,
same time,
man, education.
Prior to playing football, I did good in football, and so now all these recruits are coming in. It's basketball season, so my mom's like, "You need this ACT. You want to go to college? These coaches want to see your ACT scores."
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I haven't been doing anything my senior year, so we're going to definitely take these classes and make sure I do well in the ACT so I can go to college. So I took the prep class, missed the first day of tryouts. And I come back the second day, and coach said, hey, you missed that first day. You know, I think it's better if you didn't play this year. And I'm like, whoa. You know, man, it sucked, man. I was so, like, you know, hurt, man. I didn't know what to say.
Talk about a narrow window, man. You missed the first day, and it's a wrap.
And I'm like, I've been playing, you know, 2 years at this school. You know, this was my third year playing, and I was just, like, getting to that level where I'm like, I can dunk.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I definitely need to play the senior year. Yeah. And he actually chose a freshman over me. To be on the team, and it was just like, man, I didn't even know what to think of. Like, I'm not playing basketball. I don't know. I went home. I didn't know how to think. I didn't know what to do. You know, like I don't go to basketball practice. So it was, you know, it hurt. You know, it was a big thing, but it built me. It made me be a better person. So you know, I told the track coach what happened, and he was just like, I've been waiting for this because he wanted me to run indoor track. He's like, you want to go to college next year? You know, you're gonna have to play football. So you need to be better in track. And I ran track. I usually ran in spring after basketball season. Yeah. So I ran it indoors, and I did great. Like, it was crazy. We just trained, but I had so much, like, built-in emotion from not being able to play basketball. I just wanted to prove that basketball coach that I was better, and I should be on the team. And so we weren't the best team in basketball. We were getting beat a lot. So, but I didn't care. I just wanted to play. And for me, you know, I did really well. I did a high jump, and I ended up winning, or I got second indoor states. And I was in the paper every week and things like that.
So you could have went all three sports. You could have just chose to go to the
I think I could do a high jump in college, And
I mean, yeah, you're a professional.
No, at the same time, you know, I'm a 2-foot jumper, so high jump, you have to jump off 1 foot.
Yeah.
And so at the time, I mean, I was doing pretty good, and I did really well, and I was making the paper every week. So what I did was, when I made the paper, I would go put it on the basketball coach's door every day.
Yeah.
Every time we made, and our track team was really good. That was our best sport in our school.
Talk about motivation.
And so I would put it on his door every day. And our
Yeah.
basketball team was losing. I knew we were going to have a losing season. So I had to put the paper, put it on his door every day. People were like, man, Chris, you putting that paper on his door? Yeah, that's me.
Yep.
Every day. Going to see me in the paper. So, but that built me, man. Just made me a better person. And, just know I need to work hard. I want to work hard. And proving people wrong sometimes is a good thing.
It's great
motivation.
Fuel. Yeah, it's great fuel for motivation. Absolutely.
And so, I learned how to dunk my senior year. So even when I saw the basketball coach, he was actually one of the gym teachers. So whenever I had gym class, I would just do like 360 dunks. And people were like, man, you're not on the basketball team? And I just look over at him.
You look at the coach like, nope.
I'm on the track team. So I mean, just things like that actually build my career. So when I actually, went to school and I went back to the sport of basketball, I still had that in my package of slam dunking and things like that. So it created a pathway for me. People used to see me even when I was playing football in college, on my free time, I would go to the gym and, play basketball, but then I would do some dunks and things like that. So I remember one person telling me, man, you dunk so much after the game and all you do is dunk. And, you used to get paid for it. You're not getting paid to dunk, and I remember that guy saying that.
Yeah.
And then, eventually one day.
That's what I was going to ask. So when did you take that advice? When did you say like, hey, this can be a vehicle or my next career?
It was when I signed with the Globetrotters, actually. And that was just by the grace of God that happened. I sent them an email, the Globetrotters, randomly. I had just came back from Spain. I was doing a workout over there. And I've been over there all summer trying to get on a team. Mm-hmm. And when I got back from Spain, I had no money. I was working a regular job. And I contacted the Globetrotters. This guy from overseas said, man, I seen you play over there. You're really good. Sorry we didn't have the money. Because at the time, Spain was going through a crisis. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have the money to afford me. So he said, man, you should try with the Globetrotters. And I was just like, no, you don't know how that works in America. He's like Kosovo. I'm like, you don't know how that works here. Yeah. And so I sent them an email. And the Globetrotters, they emailed me back and said, you got some video? I said, I got some old footage, like bad quality camera. And so I sent it to him. He liked it, and he brought me in for a workout.
Wow.
And I was so struck by that. I didn't tell anybody besides my mom, and she was happy for me. But I was like, man, it's been so much ups and downs with basketball that I wasn't even happy yet because I'm like, this could be just another block. Something can happen, and it doesn't work out. So I wasn't excited. Until I went to the workout and I killed it, and the guy said, "Do you have a job at home?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You should quit your job," and that's when it hit me.
Like, okay, I think I got something here.
Okay, I might have something here. I never heard somebody say that to me before. So he told me to quit my job, and they ended up signing
What
me.
type of dunks were you doing for that person to say that during that workout?
Well, I sent him some bad quality footage of me because I had like an old phone at the time, and he was like, do some of that stuff that you were trying to show me in the videos. And so when people were working out, I was intimidated because there were a lot of guys there that were saying like, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And I'm like, dang, I can't do that.
Right.
I've probably done it before in the gym, but not in front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so we had all the recruits there. And so I just got into my zone. I'm like, all right, let's go. Forget it. I'm just going to let loose. And so I went there. And I did a 360 between the legs.
360
and he looked at me like I was crazy. Like, did you just... It was the first dunk I did. And I was just like, I want to see if it go in. And then I killed it. And, like, all the coaches were just looking at me like I was crazy. And I was just excited. He came over to me like, step to the side. Like, you guys can keep dunking.
Like let's hide him.
Yeah.
He's good to go.
I did probably like 1 or 2 dunks there. And he said, do you have a job? And I'm like, no. I mean, I got a job. And he said, quit that job. We signed you. And so... I did like a lot of dunks there, but it was just like that first one that really kind of took the cake.
So during that time, what was going on through your mind, man?
It was just, man, like, I felt like it was a new path. I mean, I'm like, first I didn't want to play with the Globetrotters because I saw it was like show basketball. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, I want to play real basketball. Like, I want to go overseas and play basketball. Mm-hmm. I really nenever thought about going to the NBA. I just wanted to play basketball and get paid for it.
Right.
At the end of the day. So, when that became my thing, I ended up playing with the team, and I started slam dunking all the time. I'm like, wow, I'm really getting paid to slam dunk. I remember that one guy told me I should get paid for it, and now I'm doing it. And so it was easy. I'm like, well, this isn't hard for me.
Yeah.
And doing it every day to learn the repetition of it, that actually helped my technique out by playing every day with the Globetrotters.
Okay.
And so just going through my head, like, man, maybe this could be something, you know, what could, and after a while, when you do something, you always think about what's next. You know, you don't, I mean, I don't know about other people, but some people get complacent and say, all right, this is my job, I'm going to keep it. For me, I'm like, all right, I've done it for 2 years now. What's next? What can I do to up myself? How can I become the best Globetrotter? Or how can I become a Globetrotter that branches out?
Exactly. And that was actually the next question I wanted to ask you. So here you are, you're traveling with the Globetrotters. Your name is known as a professional dunker. How were you able to build the brand that you have now? What were some of the things that you implemented?
Actually, it was, you know, being on the team was great, and I loved it, you know, and I was happy when they signed me, blessed to just be out there playing with one of the most world-renowned teams, you know. But at the end of the day, you know, I wanted to brand myself, because when I was a Globetrotter, my name was Smooth. So when I go out there and I look and I'm signing these autographs, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. People love it, but they don't know who Chris Staples is. They know Smooth the Globetrotter.
Right.
And there's times that we finished the game, we would go like eat somewhere, and people had went to our game. Yeah. They'd be there and they come and take a picture, and they're like, yeah, I remember you from the game. You're Smooth. And I'm like, yeah, right now I'm Chris, you know. But if I didn't have my jersey on, you wouldn't even know who I was. Or if I didn't have Globetrotters on, you wouldn't even know that. Yeah. So I really wanted people to know Chris Staples at the end of the day. So I started like building my YouTube page, my Instagram page, things like that. Came out to Los Angeles, and that's when I met a guy there, and his name's Nick. He actually lived with the guy for a while. He was just recording me at one of the events. I got invited to a Sprite event. And I did great at the event, and he was just like, I've never seen somebody just out the blue just go dunk and do all this stuff like that. And he told me he could stay out here, man. You should stay out here and work and see what happens. And I ended up getting an agent out here. Wow. And it just built from that point. So on my off season with the Globetrotters, I started doing dunk contests on the off season. Yep. So some people, while most guys will rest, you know, most guys will rest when the season was over, because we would tour for 5-6 months sometimes. Yeah. So you be exhausted, but I'm like, no, I'm not stopping. This is where I'm about to begin. So I was entering dunk contests right after the season. People were like, you're gonna wear yourself out for when the season starts. I'm like, no, I'm good, because I wanna work. I wanna work harder than that next person. Right. And then I started just building a wave, and so people started to know who I was. And after my second year with the Globetrotters, during the off season, I ended up booking a commercial for the NBA Finals. So when the season ended, and the season ended, and then the NBA Finals came on, I was starting an ABC commercial. Yeah. And everyone on the team called me, how you do that? How you do that? And I'm just like, you guys got to work.
You got to work, man. While y'all was resting, I was dunking.
I was out here dunking. And in the commercial, I was doing a slam dunk. So, you know, when I went back to the team next year, everyone just like, you know, like, oh, you Hollywood now and this and that. I'm like, no, I just want to work and, you know, get my name out there.
That's crazy. And how were you able to take care of your body during that off season?
I mean, you really do have to stay fit. I mean, it's hard on the road when you're like going from city to city and you don't have a cook with you or something like that. So sometimes you have to just eat fast food if you finish a game late. But I just stay consistent throughout the year. I mean, I try not to do too much. Yeah. But you know, I want to work out. You know, yeah. So if I'm just going to hoop, get some jump shots in, I want to break a sweat every day, you know, at some point, you know. And
so you was just staying physical pretty much.
Okay. You know, at the end of the day.
I'm going to go off of a few of the things that you've done so people can understand your resume. And like I said, before I start, you started becoming a professional dunker. We want to say, what, maybe 2013?
2013,
yeah. 2013. Yeah. So, oh my gosh, this is long. I'm going to just list out a few. So in 2014, you did the Jordan Hanger commercial. So I know people seen that because that was on heavy rotation. Yeah. Landed the commercial during the off season with ABC, right?
Yeah, that was the first commercial.
I seen you in the Sprite dunk contest. What's the other one? Dunk Dynamics Pro Dunk Profile. Oh my gosh, man! The list goes on, man. You are one of the official Risewear spokespersons, right?
Yeah. So I competed in a challenge called the Rise Challenge, and the shoes are. I
was going to say, is that you?
Yeah.
Are you
No.
The logo?
The logo is the air up there. The guy who does the 720.
Okay.
But they're having a new shoe come out actually this month. And that's the one. It'll be my shoe.
That'll be it?
Rise for Staples. Yeah. So
okay.
I won the challenge.
Perfect. All right. Good. See, and then of course the big one. You were a star in the sports drama Slamma Jamma.
Yeah.
How did you land that, man?
Crazy, man. Like it's just crazy being out here and just meeting people and having your name out there in the atmosphere,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the most important thing is that people know your name. You know, like obviously you don't want to have a bad resume, but if somebody knows your name, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, you want to keep your name in people's mouths.
Yeah.
And so I made a website randomly. I was selling T-shirts on there or whatever, and it was just like with my logo or something like that, or me jumping over someone, and it was pretty cool. And I just did the website. And randomly, before the website was about to close, because I stopped paying the bill on it, I got an email from the director, Tim Che, and he said he's looking for a basketball player in the movie. And one of my teammates who actually helped me make the website, he got the email and was like, hey, check this out, you know, before your site closed. And I looked at it, and I'm like, oh, dang. So I called the guy.
So you almost missed the opportunity.
Almost missed it, you know, almost missed it. And like I was about to go, like, visit my mom in North Carolina. I was about to actually leave California and just go visit.
Yeah.
And so I called the number, and he's like, yeah, come in for an audition. So I came in. I thought I was, like, auditioning for, like, a extra or something.
Right.
I'm like, all right, you know, I don't have any experience. So he gave me a few lines to read. I went over it the day before, and I went there, and I did good the next day. And I did the first time, and then he brought more people in. And I'm like, why do you keep bringing people in and me doing it with all these other actors and actresses? So I'm like, you know, they're rotating out. I'm staying
But
here.
you staying,
I'm staying here. And so he's like, you did good. So I'm like, all right, I left. So he said, we'll give you a call in like a month. And so he called me back. I went in, did the same thing again. And then the next day he called me and said, yeah, we want you. You know, I looked over. A lot of directors have looked at it, and they want you as the part. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, all right.
Still not realizing how big this is.
I'm like, yeah, cool. I told Mom, I got a part in the movie. And she was like, oh, that's sweet. So I said, yeah, I'm just like playing some basketball player. So all I thought about was Coach Carter, maybe a couple lines as a basketball player. Then he sent me the script.
He was like, oh, this is a job.
And this is like 200 pages. And I'm like, okay, I'm Michael, right? I'm on like
Mike
80
is on
pages.
You in every scene.
I'm at 80 pages. I'm like, what role is this? I'm like, this the main role? He's like, yeah, what did you think you were auditioning for? A dunker. I don't know. You know, so it was just crazy that opportunity came, and like no one even knew that was going to happen, or you know, my agency didn't even know that, you know, that I auditioned for that. When I found out, I just went out the blue.
Wow.
And it happened. So
wow, dude, that's an amazing story, man. So I mean, just taking it all back, young kid from Detroit, playing football in the neighborhood, loving basketball, almost getting basketball taken away from you because of you being one day too late for the tryout, transferring in football, still having a passion for basketball, and then realize that your niche was being a professional dunker, which now created a platform for you to do commercials, movies, clothing, all of that. Like that's amazing. Did you ever think that it would come to this?
No, I mean, I can't say what it would have come to. I would have never seen myself doing this, but you know, you really do have to just like do what you like to do and do it to the best of your ability. And I mean, you won't be happy if you're not doing something you don't like to do at the end of the day. And so like one thing just led to another. I mean, I don't know if I would have been doing clothing or have my own shoe. I mean, when opportunity came, I took it, you know, and I'm like, all right, well, how can I brand myself? And when I came to LA, actually, I just learned how to brand myself to the best of my ability. And that's all I do now. And that's all I do. When you look at my Instagram page, I'm usually just posting me doing what I do. And so when I go to these auditions and they see, you know, and they actually look at your Instagram, and they look at your YouTube or Facebook, and they want to see what this person's about. Like, okay, we're auditioning basketball players. Let's see if he's really a basketball player or an actor or whatever. And so if I'm auditioning for a basketball commercial, I'm making sure I'm putting a whole bunch of basketball videos on my page. So the first time you see my page, you're going to see some crazy slam dunks.
Yeah.
That way when you know this, you know, you're getting the real thing.
Yeah.
And so actually I went to an audition, and I did a McDonald's commercial earlier this year.
Okay.
It was the Big Mac commercial.
Okay.
And when I went in for my second callback for the commercial, they were looking at my Instagram page. I'm like, yep, I knew you were going to do that.
See?
And it was just, I walked in the office, and they were just getting off my Instagram page. I'm like, good.
So question, did someone teach you that, or that's just something you picked up to know?
I just learned.
Okay.
You know, I went in there. I went to a few auditions when I first got into LA, and I didn't know. I just went in there blind, didn't know. Didn't even have like headshots or anything like that. I'm just there. But I was looking at some of the stuff they were doing, and they're like, oh, yeah, we know this so-and-so. We seen your page. And I'm like, what page? You know, they're like, oh, Instagram. Or someone told me, you know, I did my first commercial with ABC, and I'm like, how'd you guys find me? Because, like, there's a lot of people you could have.
Yeah, it's like I'm not out there like that.
I didn't even live in LA at the time.
Okay.
And he said, yeah, we went on YouTube and we typed in dunks. And you were the first one to come up. I'm like, how lucky is that? Like, I was the first one to come up, and they showed me the dunk that they saw, and they're like, yeah, we want you to do that exact thing in the commercial.
Hey, man, your Google AdWords is on point right now, man.
Oh, my God. And it wasn't even my page. It was someone else's page, but that's the first thing that came up. I'm like, that's some lucky stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to, make sure I build my social media up so that way when you, like I said, when you're looking for a dunker or you're looking for an actor, my name at least spirals around there some way, somehow.
Definitely. So what I want to do now, like I said, because you've carved your own niche, and that's why I think your story is so unique. So, I mean, I want to transition this into how we can kind of give this same information or give the game back to an up-and-coming student athlete that at one point in their life, they're going to have to make that transition, whether they decide to stay in the sports arena or do something else. So you just gave us a list of valuable things that you use that's helping you move forward, but I like to actually point those out. So what are some of the key principles that you learned from playing sports that you're utilizing today that's helping you sustain success now?
I could say one thing that always stands out and feel like I'm with everybody is being coachable. Okay. As an athlete, you have to be coachable. You have to be able to listen. You have to be able to work with other people. I mean, unless you're playing like tennis or something like that. But even that, you have to be coachable because there's someone out there that's going to be better or someone out there going to be working hard like you. And so you always want to be able to work with other people. And living out here, I've learned to just network and work with other people that they want to work with me again. And so learning that on the football field, on the track field, on the basketball court, being coachable, it helps me out in doing other things. So when I'm auditioning for a role or, I'm acting or something like that, I'm very coachable. I'm listening to the director. So even if it doesn't work out, they're like, hey, I might work with Chris again because, he listens and he's easy to work with, and sometimes it doesn't always work out. You may not always get that role, but they may want to work with you again. And so that helps out in so many different ways, so many different avenues of just being able to work with the right people.
Okay.
You gotta have discipline. I mean, I'm 30 years old and I still can dunk. I feel just like I felt when I was 21, 22 years old as far as when I'm on the court and I got my adrenaline going. It's being disciplined and just staying fit, staying fit and just staying in shape, staying consistent, and that's how I got to where I am because I was consistent with what I wanted to do, and I just continued to put the hard work in, put other things to the side because when I focused in on what I wanted to do, everything else kind of just became a blur, and I'm like, I don't really see what's going on over there or what's going on over here. I really want to do this, and so I just kind of had that tunnel vision.
Okay,
and that creates that creates you to become a better, whatever you want to do. Like if you were a doctor, you want to be a doctor, you got to focus in on whatever that study is.
Right.
And become the best doctor you can or become the best astronaut or whatever you want to do, so, and that's my goal is just to become the best in whatever happens,
Got you. Okay. No, those are valuable tangibles. I mean, actually, I live by those, especially when it comes to discipline. The same way that, I was able to work out every day for the sport or study film is the same way that you got to do it for your profession or whatever you're in, and that's what you do. And like I say, you're a dunker, so I know you have to take care of your body. You got all the wear and tear on your ligaments and your knees, so you keep that regiment going. How about your eating habits? How's that?
My eating habits are good. I mean, like for me, I like to stay lean. When I was younger, I was taking so much protein to become a bigger football player and have the right size. But now I like to stay lean, and I feel good, because I don't put too many negative things in my body. Sometimes I might eat some greasy chicken. Sometimes it's good, but at the same time, I know on the day I need to dunk or the week I need to dunk, I need to be fit. I need to feel good. You're not going to do good if you don't feel good.
Okay,
and so that's how I always go with everything. Like if I'm feeling good that day, if I'm looking good that day, if I have the right gear on, I'm going to feel better about myself. You're going to feel more confident. And for me, I love to eat fruit. That's my main thing. I'll always eat some fruit.
Okay.
And that'll keep the energy in your body, and obviously it's very healthy. But for me, and then just running and things like that. Running's a good thing. Like running, stretching, swimming. I do a lot of my stretching when I'm like in a hot tub or I'm in a hot area, because when you're sweating, you actually stretch your muscles a lot more because your adrenaline's going and your body's looser. So, but yeah, just eating for me. I mean, I'm a big fruit guy. I mean, obviously, different types of vegetables and different types of meat to keep the weight up.
Definitely. And you've traveled around the world so far. What was some of your most significant experiences from being around in other countries and exposed to different cultures?
Man, if I can go back, I would learn I would learn a different language. You know, wow. I would study foreign language, because it's so many different languages in this world, and just when you go to these different countries, you just see how people interact. And playing with the Globetrotters helped me out a lot with that. Just seeing that basketball was like it was its own language. You know, even though they may not speak exactly what I'm saying in tongue, but they understood the game.
Yeah.
And, and you can understand the smile.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what a smile means.
You know what that means. So that's something I love. But just being around, the Globetrotters really was one of the biggest things and biggest impacts in my life, because I've been so many different places with them. I got to go to Afghanistan, Jerusalem. Those were like my two favorite places, because those were places I never thought I would see myself. Wow. Like I'm actually in Afghanistan. This is, in front with the military, being on a helicopter and things like that, like a military helicopter.
Wow.
So, I can't even explain that experience. Going to Jerusalem, seeing the holy ground, things like that, it was just, that's breathtaking. So being in those different places, you just know that the world is very big. And if I can recommend it to anyone, I would just say travel, see the world, because you don't want to be caught up in one place one time, and just in this small circle and not knowing what else is out there. At least go see it if you can. If you have to spend your money a little bit and you're broke when you get back, but take that chance.
It's worth it.
It's worth it, definitely.
Definitely. Awesome. One other question. Now that you're a professional, how did you view money as an amateur growing up versus how you view it now that you actually make a living off of the sport you're playing?
At the beginning, I would have dunked for free, because I would just want to get my name out there. But once you build your name, obviously you have to know your worth. And at the time, I wasn't worth anything. So how could I go out there and charge this or charge that, if no one even knows who I am? But now, there is a lot of money out there in the game. So at the same time, you got to know your worth and know what it's worth, because you're out there risking your body as an athlete. You can go out there and get hurt, and who's going to pay for that? So you have to make sure that when you go to an event that they're liable for whatever could happen. Mm-hmm. And but at the same time, I'm going to make sure, for what it's worth, I'm going to give anybody a show. I'm going to make sure that I do my best out there, and and the fans are pleased. But it's definitely money into it. You just have to know where it's at, and you have to be a go-getter. You have to be a hustler at the end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we all know that point may come. It may be another decade for you, but it'll be a point to where you can no longer perform at the level you are. Mm-hmm. What do you have in store for the next transition?
Well, that's why I do so many different things now, because, I never know when this day may end. Something can go out there tomorrow, and I can be like, hey, you know what? I can't dunk anymore. Mm-hmm. And so what's going to be the next thing? And so that's why I take the acting, the modeling, things like that, or the shoe deals, because, because like I said, my main thing may end one day. And so I need to have those other avenues ready and on deck. And I want to have them going at the same time. I don't want to even have to, it shouldn't have to come to an injury for me to be like, hey, I'm done dunking.
Right.
I can just quit on my own time. And, I love to do it right now, but who knows? Maybe in 5 years, all right, I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
And I want to do something different. So I just want to continue to, like I said, see where everything goes. One thing has led to another. I started off with the Globetrotters. That Globetrotters led to me doing dunk contests. Dunk contests led to me do commercials. Commercials led to a movie. So who knows where I can go now? And so if opportunities come and I can still brand myself, and then I just want to help others who are coming up, like you said, the young people that come up that may not have made their high school basketball team and are coachable and want to continue the game. I want to help them create a pathway for themselves, because you don't always have to make it to the NBA. A lot of people are like, oh, man, you're so good. Why aren't you in the NBA? Like, well, why do I have to be in the NBA?
Yeah.
Right. Like, if I always say, well, if you work at McDonald's, that's cool. Should I get mad at you and say, why aren't you the CEO? As long as you one CEO, So
right.
I always say, well, I don't have to be in the NBA. I create a path for myself, and I do what I like to do. For me, it's easier. Outside of the money, I'm doing something I love every day. It's guys in the NBA that are there, but they might not love it. You know,
Yeah.
guys in the NBA, it's like, hey, I just want this check, you know, at the end of the day. But
Yeah.
are they really going to be happy? For me, I've been to 60-something countries. I can say, hey, you know what? I've been all over the world now. I'm happy doing what I'd love to do.
Yeah.
And so I want people to know that, like, at the end of the day, you don't have to be in the NBA. If you love basketball and you want to get paid for it, then go out there and get paid for it. It doesn't have to lead to that level. And in whatever job you, it doesn't have to be NBA. You don't have to be the CEO. Just do something you love to do and have a passion for it.
I definitely agree. So maybe in the near future, you may have your own academy teaching young players how to be professional dunkers and travel. I mean, dude, you carved a niche that is now have a demand in the market. Mm-hmm. Like, for real. Like, it's something that could be duplicated. You know, it's just food for thought.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I believe, like, in the future, it's going to be guys doing double between the legs, and that's going to be nothing, you know? So right now, I just like to create the avenue. They have this show called The Dunk King, and the show is for $100,000.
Wow.
So one person can win $100,000 for slam dunking. Like, who would have ever thought that? But you never know. This is a new time, a new age. And I remember when I was younger, all we had was the N1 mixtape.
Yeah.
And so now I bet some of those guys who were in the N1 mixtape, like, I wish I was still doing it, you know, because now they're giving out $100,000 for a couple slam dunks. So you never know where it can lead to. And so if you create your own pathway, you know, if it leads to somewhere, you're going to love it. You know, you're going to love it because you were a part of that. Absolutely.
So any major projects that we should be looking out for in the near future that you've done that we should kind of keep our eyes on?
Yeah, actually on July 11th, there's an Adidas commercial that's going to be dropping. I did it with one of my good friends. Her name's Tammy Browner. She was the 10th female to play with the Globetrotters.
Okay.
And we were teammates, and we actually were the two stars of the commercial. Where, you know, you'll see it on July 11th, so it's an Adidas commercial. Look out for it. I think it's with Kid Cudi and Pharrell. Making My Own Waves or something like that. I think it's a new song that came out, and so that's part of the commercial. Also, I just booked a commercial. It's an Olympics commercial, and I'll be shooting it this Saturday.
Okay. Mm-hmm. There it is. We'll keep our eyes open. Last question. What would you tell the 16-year-old you?
The 16-year-old me?
Yeah.
Oh, man. You didn't prepare me for that one. Oh, man. I would just, I would say, stay focused, you know. It'll get better. Because at 16,
yeah, man.
I don't even know what was I doing at 16. I know I was junior in high school or sophomore. Junior in high school, probably not seeing the football career because of all the guys that were in front of me. Basketball, we suck, and I wasn't the fastest in track. But I was a good athlete. Just wasn't the best at any of them.
Yeah.
Until, you know, it got better. So stay the course. It'll get better.
Wow. And now you're the best at one specific thing. That's a crazy story, dude. Well, tell everybody where they can find you, man.
Definitely. You can find me on Instagram, everybody_Hey Chris. I'm at that level now where if you type in everybody,
it's gonna pop up.
My name should come up now. Now if you type in the word everybody, it should come up. Facebook, Chris Staples, and on Twitter, it's I am Chris Staples.
There it is. Well, Chris, man, once again, thanks for being a guest on my show. You're more than welcome to come and bless us anytime, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me, man.
Definitely. Well, that wraps this segment up, y'all. I'm Jabari K Smith. Until next time, stay positive, stay productive, and most importantly, stay present. And you were experiencing